Well, let's go back to the studio where Natalie has Emile, Heskey and David James alongside her.
Welcome back to Matchday Live. Thank you for joining us. Half-time in the game against Villa, and it is still 0-0. I am joined by David James and Emile Heskey. Emile, what did you make of the first 45?
I think it's an interesting one because, again, when we were looking at the stats, we were looking at everything, and when you're watching a game, you see things a little bit differently. I think City controlled the stats in sense of possession, but I thought actually Villa looked the better team. They created the better chances. They seemed the more aggressive, and especially when City were trying to play out, and that's when City are dangerous. They'll draw you into a false belief that you can win it, and then suddenly they're on the attack. But Villa were fantastic at really putting that pressure on and creating some half chances for themselves.
Yeah, I felt for large parts of that first half, Villa were on top. It's so much so that it made me look at the possession stats, David. But City still are edging the possession. However, in that first half, Villa had 13 shots against City's 2, 5 of them on target. What have you made of the first half?
Yeah, I mean, City's 2 shots were Erling Haaland, both at the same time, pretty much. I think, and again, they've got a 13-game win streak, which has given them confidence going into this game. I don't want to use the momentum word as the reason for them playing well. I think they're just confident at Villa Park at the moment. Edison's done tremendously well, especially early on. The first 2 saves he made, I thought, was superb. And we're talking about that formation. I think, again, because Rodri's out, I'm still trying to work out. Kanji's been stepping in the hole. Stones have been stepping in the hole. They've been defending with a 3 or a 5, attacking with the 3 or 5, then suddenly going to a 4. So Pep must have had one tremendous training session with the guys just to work out what they're doing, because at the moment it looks a little bit too fluid. And the opportunities haven't been created, although Villa's high line, I think someone told me beforehand that Villa have got the most forced offsides for the opposition against them this season, which makes sense considering City haven't really been able to break that line at the moment. But the possession thing's good. I was worried as well that it was the other way around, because it did look like Villa were controlling the game. But when Eddie's in this kind of form, it's not a problem, is it?
Let's give you a couple of minutes then just to talk about how good the goalkeepers were, because the goalkeeper union as well and truly can come out in force tonight at both ends. And you mentioned those 2 Erling Haaland chances. I mean, Emile Martinez makes 2 brilliant saves then.
Yeah, the first one was the better one, I think. I mean, and having studied Erling Haaland's headers, I'll explain it in a second. But I mean, yeah, Erling's coming through. Martinez, and I spoke to Neil Cutler, when he was the goalkeeping coach at Villa a few years ago, and he said that he's tremendous. He holds his position longer than most goalkeepers, then he can make the save rather than anticipating where the shot was going to go. So that was a good save. But the header, and Erling Haaland loves heading the ball back in the centre of goal. When people talk, and will know better than I for being a striker, but he doesn't find corners, he just heads it back in the middle. And I think that gave Martinez a bit of a chance, because it seemed to sort of glance off his head to the left a little bit. But he'll have a chance in the second half, in the 78th minute.
Oh, predictions. Mystic JMO here. And obviously, you mentioned Edison as well.
And Eddie as well. I mean, the thing is, I think this season, and possibly even last season, people saying, he doesn't make a lot of saves. But you don't win the treble without your goalkeeper being one of the best in the world. And as you know, I think he's one of the best in the world. And when he was called upon today, he's pulled big saves. I mean, the one with the left that people talk about, bottom hand, right hand, any hand's good when it doesn't go in the back of the net.
Yes, that's anything. Any part of the body's good to stop it going in the back of the net.
Absolutely, yeah.
I want to go back to that formation again, because we were talking about it. We as David said, we couldn't fully work it out. I kept saying out loud, "Look where Rico is," because he was in line with Erling at the time. How would you describe City's formation today?
It'd be interesting to see what it was. To be honest with you, again, what was it? A 3.
I think it's a 3 with Akanji and Stones in the middle.
And then,
in
then
possession.
Another 3.
But in defence, Akanji drops back in with Stones sometimes, and
then sometimes without,
Raviol,
depending on whether they push players further forward.
It's almost like those two are pivoting between midfield and defence.
It's tough.
Okay, so we were doing it with 1, and now we're doing it with 2.
Going in. Yeah.
Okay.
And then possibly coming back when they're actually defending.
Yes.
And then bringing the midfield line back as well on top of them.
I think it's, I mean, obviously with Edison having made more saves, you would think that it's not working. But again, the only team to not concede in the first half at Villa Park this season was Crystal Palace. So everyone else has conceded, and quite often it's 2 goals. So whatever's happening at the moment, it is working.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with City scoring most of their goals in the second half away from home.
And I would say any other team that plays against Villa's aggressive press, the way that they've pressed today, that Villa would have scored a couple of goals already by now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the positives I'm taking from it, and we've seen it time and again with City, is when a team has played well and perhaps played better than us for a period of time, if they don't capitalise in that time, then we have the ability to keep going, keep going, and keep going. Patience often on our side, knowing that something will drop for us. So I think the fact that Villa have played so well in that first half, actually for the second half now, Emile, I'm thinking, well, City have got to come out and do better. We will come out and do better. And can Villa keep it up?
Well, the thing is, the main thing is, can Villa keep it up? Because that's a lot of work. To be pressing the way that they're pressing for 90 minutes, that's tough. Because again, they're catching City a lot. And as well, playing out the way that they play out, they're the ones actually getting out more than actually City are. So it'll be interesting to see whether City change the way they play out and probably push a few players a bit further forward, because it's very congested. And I think if you switch it, that's where I think they've switched it a couple of times to Kyle, and that's where they've got out. But I don't know if Villa can press like that for a full 90 minutes. That's a tall order.
Can you see City making any changes half time or into early in the second half?
No, I'm thinking of Kovacic maybe. But if is he going to make that difference in the midfield? It's interesting what Em's saying there, because the first thing that came to mind then was Edison long ball over the top, because everyone kind of expects City to do a few passes before they try and thread it through, whereas a direct ball over the top and a high line. This could be the time that we see the world record holding longest kicker of football earn his win bonus.
Let's see him
not that he hasn't earned it already with those big saves, but add to it. Yeah,
he could get an assist maybe.
He's not in my fantasy team. So.
No, me neither. Yeah. Me neither. But having said that, City have made a few mistakes tonight from passing out, which is very unlike us.
Yeah, well, I think strangely it's more commonplace in the Premier League now. I think when it first started, seeing it at the beginning of the season or even towards the end of last season, it was like, okay, that's a mistake. But I think everyone expects things to happen like that, and it hasn't cost them a goal. Like you said, I think the fact they've only had 2 shots, you'd expect City to get shots in the second half, and therefore you'd expect either the playing out the back to work, because there's been times where they've done it, it's looked really good. Villa have been pressing, and Phil Foden, he just passes his way out. It's lovely.
He loves Phil Foden. If you didn't guess by that, he loves Phil Foden. Anything you want to see different from City in the second half?
I think they're probably going a bit more direct into Haaland, because you've got someone who's 6'4", 6'5", probably something like that, and at times I used to love when goalkeepers ping it into you, and then you can show what you can do, hold the ball up and bring others in, because they've got so many good players a bit further up the field. So sometimes when you draw people in to go and play beyond them, but then he's got to hold the ball up and then play from there.
David, for you?
Yeah, I keep going back to last season's 2 games against Arsenal, where they went direct. The only 2 games in the whole season they did it, and they won both games comfortably. In the end, I think comfortably. And I think the way that Villa have been playing in this game and pretty much at home this season is very akin to the way that Arsenal play. I say a lot of possession, not as much as City, granted, but they like to pass and find things. And I think maybe that's Pep's plan. Second half, a bit more, as you said, a bit more direct entirely, and he can hold the ball up. I just think giving it options, because again, when you keep playing out from the back, I know what you want to do, and I think Villa have sussed them out in that sense, because they're really aggressive. But if you play beyond them at times, and they've gone and stepped in there, and you spin in behind, you're suddenly now 2v1, 3v2. So yeah, it's just different options.
Different options. We shall see into the second half. Now, we were doing a prize in our last game, and it is time to reveal the winner. And the winner of this, like magic, Jeremy Doku signed item. So in the Spurs game, we asked a question, and the winner, I'm going to announce it now. So the winner, and do you know what? I feel like there's going to be a few people celebrating right now. The winner is called David. But I don't have a surname, and I don't think it's James.
What?
Did you enter?
I'm not on my phone, and I haven't had any notifications, I don't think. Could be me.
It might be you, David. If your name is David and you entered the competition to win this signed Jeremy Doku item, then we are going to be getting in touch with the correct winning David. Maybe.
I'm sure I've got a chance.
And thank you very much, everybody that took part in our competition. We are planning to give away more cool stuff throughout the season, so do keep your eyes peeled. Do keep watching Matchday Live, of course, to win things like this. Good luck, David. Good luck, Davids out there. Thank you as well for sending in your WhatsApp questions. You've been giving some brilliant questions, as always. So, first one that's come in from Nuri, who says, question for David James. What is your favourite and least favourite moment in a City shirt?
Oh, it could be the same one. It could be... No, not playing up front. My favourite moment would have been my first derby against United at the Etihad, or Eastlands, I think it was called at the time, and 4-1. Because the reason
that?
Huh?
Did Sean Wright-Phillips score in that one?
I think so. I think John Macken scored as well. Slightly ironic. But the thing, when I signed for City, I came up in a taxi and was with a City supporting taxi driver, and he went, "New stadium, no atmosphere." And that day there was truly an atmosphere. So I thought, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So that was my favourite. My least favourite, I enjoyed it all.
Good answer.
Yeah, no. Good. Ironically, no. Getting beat by Portsmouth.
Oh.
Pedro Mendes last minute goal, and then driving home cursing Portsmouth, and then Stuart Pearce let me go the following pre-season. I joined Portsmouth.
Thank you. Love that. Great question there. Thank you very much to Nuri. Okay, question for Emile from Leshan. Against which team did you score your favourite ever goal?
Good question.
Don't say Portsmouth.
100th Premier League goal. Good question. I scored against Everton. That was a nice one for Liverpool. Always scoring in the derbies, always great. So
yes,
that's probably one of my favourites.
Yes, I bet. That's a good answer. Yes. We've got another question for Jamo. It's come from Dave Clinton.
Is that Dave who entered the competition without putting his surname?
It might be. Dave, you might have won a Jeremy Doku-signed items. Keep an eye on your phone there, all Daves. Is there any debate today between Edison and the official best goalkeeper in the world, of course, Emi Martinez, about whom is the best?
I have a little bit of an issue with the best in the world voting system. Hence the reason Haaland should have got the Ballon d'Or. Martinez, I think, rightly so in the World Cup, produced... If it wasn't Martinez, the other one wouldn't have got the Ballon d'Or, put it that way. Today, though, Eddie is showing everything about himself, which I love.
Yes.
And he does it week in, week out.
Yes. Yes, Eddie. Love that Goalkeepers Union. Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, Emile. Thank you very much for joining us for this half-time Match Day Live. The teams are going back out into the tunnel. If you're not currently watching us on the Manchester City app, get yourself on there now for second half commentary with Alistair Mann and with Sean Gota. We will all be back in 45 minutes, where hopefully we are talking about a stunning second half from Manchester City. Enjoy it, and we'll be back here in about 45 minutes, probably 50, 52 minutes, something like that now. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Natalie. Good timing as well as Villa make their way out from the tunnel. 0-0 at half-time. City have scored in 17 of the last 18 Premier League games against Aston Villa. Some 48 goals in total. And the only exception was a 0-0 draw at Villa.